What is up, guys? Ncaa31 here, bringing you NCAA 14 Online Dynasty footage, HPL Online Dynasty Big Ten Championship game. And nothing says Big Ten like Hawaii versus New Mexico. But that is the virtual world that we have created here in the HPL Online Dynasty. Contrast in styles here. New Mexico is running a spread no-huddle attack. I'm running Hawaii's default playbook, actually, which is pro style, so I'm getting a little bit of a West Coast style offense going. And of course, when I'm running 4-3, you know it's coming. Box of Tampa 2. Bend but don't break. Try to eliminate the big play. Hope our front four plays well. So we'll see how that goes. So, what keeps, or what is keeping NCAA 14 in the rotation? I've gone all in on the PS4. I retired from Madden PS3. And I have Madden 25, obviously, for the PS4, as well as NBA Live. I even have Battlefield, and pretty soon it'll be time for MLB The Show. So what keeps NCAA in the mix? A couple of things, really. One, I'm a college football degenerate, college football junkie. And two, I've been playing with this group of characters for quite some time. I believe this has been going on since NCAA 10. That's a long time to be with the same, or pretty much the same group of people. And we've kind of formed a little bit of a virtual degenerate community. I mean that good-naturedly, of course, but, you know, they're a fun group of guys to play with. And as long as the game is playable online, people have fun playing it and want to continue playing into online dynasties, then I'll continue doing Powerhouse and HPL. May not be quite as much content, especially with the down season that we're in college football, but you still see it nonetheless. It's just a shame that we don't have a next-gen version of the game to play, and we won't have a next-gen college sports game for quite some time. May not have one ever. Really, really unfortunate, but what can you do? So I'll just keep on keeping on for as long as we have a college football game to play and people are playing it. But as far as college football itself, not a whole heck of a lot to talk about these days. The coaching carousel has come and gone. National Signing Day has come and gone. And I was going to do some videos or a video on National Signing Day, but I just didn't have time. And plus, even though I love recruiting season, you just don't know how these kids are going to turn out. It's impossible to predict how a 17, 18-year-old kid is going to develop 3 years from now. You just take an educated guess, because some guys don't ever develop, they don't ever get any better. Some guys end up being poorly coached. Some guys are late bloomers. Johnny Manziel, for example, was a 3-star recruit. He wasn't this nationally hyped prospect coming out of high school. Players transfer, get injured, get thrown out of school, change positions. There's just, you know, a lot of variables that are just flat out unpredictable. So all you really do is do the best job that you can, stockpile as many of them as you can, and hope that you get a handful of guys that are frontline starters for you and can do some good things. Triangle fail coming up. Ugh, gosh, I hate those. But of course, some schools have a reputation of doing a better job than others. How did your favorite team do? If you look at the usual suspects in the recruiting rankings, there are very few surprises. Alabama has been doing a great job in recent years. LSU always does well. Florida State does well. A&M. Texas A&M has really come on over the past couple of years, mainly due to the exposure that Johnny Football has given them. And they are just kicking Texas's tail. when it comes to recruiting, both in the state of Texas and nationally. I mean, Texas has fallen really, really far. It's really sad to see, really. I like Texas as a program, and they're one of those programs that I feel makes college football better when they're rolling, but right now they're kind of struggling, and I hope that Charlie Strong does well there. Tennessee had a strong class. They had a ton of commitments. They had 35 commits. Florida always does well. Ohio State, Georgia. The U checked in the ESPN rankings for what it's worth at number 10. And that's a classic example of what I mean by recruiting rankings being unpredictable. Miami generally has checked in the top 10 the past couple of years, but it hasn't translated onto the field. Coaching, whether the players are the right fit, and how they develop and mature plays so much into it. Like, for example, I'll give you Notre Dame as an example. Before Brian Kelly got there, Manti Te'o and Michael Floyd were considered to be kind of disappointing. In fact, when BK got there his first year, he mentioned that he thought that they were pretty ordinary. And it wasn't until he got his system up and running that Floyd and Te'o became, much better players. And that's what you want. You want a guy who recruits well, who has a track record of recruiting well, but also a guy who has a track record of making players better. You don't want Charlie Weiss. For example, Charlie Weiss, when he had Jimmy Clausen and Ryan Mallett at the time were rated the number 1 and number 2 QB prospects in the country in that class. Clausen, career was a disaster. Well, not really a disaster, but wasn't very good. Ryan Mallett, he transferred from Michigan to Arkansas and did some very good things, had a good college career. But you don't want a guy who just stockpiles top-ranked recruiting classes and, 3-4 years from now, the team isn't any better than it was 3-4 years ago. Mark Richt had that reputation for a while at Georgia. You want a guy who gets the most out of what he recruits. So, as far as individual players, individual signings, LSU did a terrific job. LSU had arguably the best class in the country. They landed the number 1 running back, Leonard Fournette, number 1 wide receiver, Malachi Tubry. They landed the number 1 running back, number 2, the number 1 and number 3 wide receiver, and the number 2 dual threat quarterback. That's pretty good. Now again, the kids have to pan out. Alabama did very well also. Alabama always recruits well. They got that kid out of Hoover High School. His name kind of escapes me at the moment. Marlon Humphrey, I believe his name is. And Texas A&M, they got a kid who's a Percy Harvin type of player, Speedy Noyle. Great athlete. Really, really fast. He's a good track athlete. He's a national caliber long jumper. Great speed. He's in that Percy Harvin type of mold of a guy who can do a wide variety of things in the slot and also out of the backfield. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how he fits in and how someone uses him and how he develops and grows up. Alabama also got one of the better defensive line prospects in the country, Deshaun Hand. And that's a fun part of recruiting, just seeing how these guys grow up and whether they live up to their potential. Who else sticks out? Jabril Peppers. He went to Michigan, or has decided to go to Michigan. What's his name? Who's that quarterback Clemson got? Deshaun Watson. He's in that dual threat Taj Boyd type mold. A&M signed the best traditional, I guess, drop back style passer in the country, Kyle Allen. So, again, it all depends on how these kids are coached and how they develop and what kind of work ethic they have. So, how did your school do? What guys are you excited about? Are you a fan of a program that didn't do as well as you would have liked in recruiting season? I'm actually a little bit disappointed in Notre Dame's recruiting class. I do like Corey Holmes, the wide receiver. from down here in my neck of the woods in Florida. Went to a good high school program. Looks a little bit like Michael Floyd. He's tall. He's, not really a burner, but he's just fast enough, and he's sure-handed, athletic. I like the way he looks, but the rest of Notre Dame's recruiting class was kind of, They seem to have gotten a lot of guys that are a cut below that elite blue chip level. But again, those guys could end up being just as good as those players if they're coached well, if they fit the system, and if they have a work ethic. Recruiting rankings are littered with guys who never panned out, never got anything close to the peak of their potential, and guys who were lower rated and became stars. So it's all for fun for the most part for now, and how they play on the field is going to determine how good or how bad the recruiting class was. So this game is winding down. It is late, and I'm trying to rally. As this game really turned, as so many games in Ncaa 14 do, with a turnover, which put me down 21-7. So I've been playing a game of trying to hold serve ever since and get a break of my own, which I did. I got a turnover earlier, and I'm trying to march back here late and get a score and tack on an onside kick. Doing a pretty good job of it for the time being. 4th and 2, gotta go. I get a big play, and I'm going to score here pretty soon, and then it's onside kick time. I have no idea how to kick these things to give myself at least somewhat of a chance to get it back. I just try to angle it and take my best shot, and at least I get a bounce, but it goes out of bounds. So this game is over. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.